Welcome back to our video tutorial page. Today we are going to be learning how to do wooden fascia board and ceiling in ArchiCAD. This tutorial, I can say, is actually meant for the intermediate guy, not actually for the beginners. For the beginners on how to begin using ArchiCAD, you can check the video tutorial on getting started with ArchiCAD for the beginners. Now back to today's tutorial. This will be the building we are going to be using. This is the floor plan, while this is the 3D. I've already put in place the roof, the wooden fascia, the wooden fascia already, which I painted in white, and the ceiling in the ceiling color. But for the purpose of this tutorial, we try to delete some of these elements. And try to add them back. Okay, this is now the building we're going to be using. So we go to the floor plan. Let's first draw our roof. Locate the roof under the toolbox. If you double click it, will take you to the dialog box. There are different ways in which you can draw your roof. We already have a tutorial on how to draw a roof in ArchiCAD. You can draw a roof by default, and you can also draw a roof using your own custom roof setting. Now for the purpose of this tutorial, we are making use of a default roof, and we are using hip roof. So we click on this, then we can double click on this to take us to the setting. Now to project from 0 means where your building wall is stopping, where your building wall is ending. Now what you need to do is, if you want to determine where your building wall is ending, you go to 3D window. Either you right click and go to show all in 3D, or you can also press F3 to take you to the 3D window. Now click on any of the wall in order to know where your roof is going to start. The building wall is ending at 3,450. So what we'll do is we start our roof at 3,450. As you can see, the setting is already there, but assuming it's not there, because at default it will be at 3,100 for ArchiCAD. So you have to type 3,450 into that. Then this is for the roof material, depending on the kind of roof material you're using. Why this is for the roof tip. You can also change this. This is for the roof thickness. To make the roof to look like the real life roof, I make use of 50 mm. Why this is for the angle, making use of angle 35. Then I can click OK and locate all the external point that is going to help me in drawing my roof. After locating all those points, the next thing I do is to make sure I return the point where I started. Now this is the roof in floor plan. You can go to 3D view to see what we have. This is now our roof. Now the main reason why we need to put our wooden fascia board is to make our building more detailed, because you might say it's not actually the real building but a model. But a model is actually a prototype for what the rebuilding is going to be like. So what you need to do is put the wooden fascia board and sometimes you might want to use concrete fascia board. So I will try to make up a tutorial on that one of those days. So let's go back to our floor plan to draw our wooden fascia. Now what we need to do is we locate the tool we want to make use of. You can use several tools, like you can use your wall, but I prefer using beam. Then this beam height tells you about the height of your wooden fascia board. So I put it at 200 because I don't want it to exceed 200. Starting from 0, it's going to be something around 3150. And the thickness, I leave it at 50. Then I make all the material white and I click OK. Now there is a rule for this. It is always good to allow your roof to project like 75mm beyond your fascia board. That is how it is in the real life. So it is always advisable to do it that way also in 3D modeling. So let's look for a beam again, and we're going to start from here. You can move around in order to draw your wooden fascia board. Move around till you have all the points represented. You drop it at the last point. So go to 3D. This is what we have, but it seems the roof fascia is somehow entering the roof. So to correct that, let's go to our setting, change this to 3050, and that gives us the right thing we want to do before. So that is our wooden fascia board. So we'll move next to the ceiling. For us to draw the ceiling now, we make use of slab. So there are 3 options you can make use of. Either you use this to draw a slab of any shape, or use this to draw a slab of either rectangle or square, or this one for a rectangle or rotated square. So for the purpose of this particular one we want to draw, you have to click on the first one. Then you can put your setting here and you click OK. Also, you might need to change your material to roof material, which is ceiling material, to ceiling tie 30 by 30. That's what I make use of most time. You can also use ceiling tie 60 by 120, depending on what you feel like using. So you remember your ceiling is not going to go beyond this point. So trace all the points and go back to your starting point. Alright, so let's look at what we have if we're correct. That is the ceiling over there. That is our ceiling. Can you see that? Alright, that is our ceiling. So even though you want to pick a rendering that will show what my view, with your ceiling put in place, you're going to have a fine and detailed rendering. Let's say, assuming I remove this ceiling, you're going to be seeing under the roof, and that is not detailed enough. With this, I hope you can easily come up with drawing ceiling, wooden fascia board and roof in ArchiCAD. But there is something I want to point out to us. The ceiling is starting at a point that is kind of too high from the fascia, but we need to bring it down a little bit. So let's give it something like 2850. And you bring it down. No, that is too much. Take it up to like 2925. Okay, I think that is better, as you can see. But this has affected our beam over here. So let's take the beam down a bit to something like 2700 to give us more detailed drawing. And if that is too small, you can still bring it down a bit, something like 2600. Alright, that is just it for today. I hope you've gained one or two things today.